All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. August 5, 2026. Dear LA City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson, on behalf of a coalition of businesses and residents that constitute the Crenshaw Corridor community, we write to request that a concrete timeline and resources for fully completing Destination Crenshaw within a year be developed and announced. A year is the outside time it should take, and we hope and expect that it can be finished considerably sooner. We also request the immediate establishment of a business interruption relief fund for the merchants, entrepreneurs, churches, and property owners who have borne the disproportionate economic burden of the prolonged delays associated with the Destination Crenshaw project, and a resident relief fund for the residents of the corridor who have been most adversely affected by the prolonged construction and delays associated with this unfinished development. Destination Crenshaw was presented to this community as a transformational investment in Black culture, Black commerce, and the future of South Los Angeles. It has now been 6 years since the project broke ground and over 2 years since the promised completion date. Construction has stalled with no apparent end date in sight. The Crenshaw Corridor community embraced the vision of Destination Crenshaw, but the obstruction from the delayed construction has caused prolonged health and safety hazards, uncertainty, reduced customer access, declining revenues, disruptions, and mounting financial hardship. A broad spectrum of the community expressed their frustration over these delays and the impact they have had on the community at a standing room only July 30th town hall at Bethesda Temple Church, widely covered by the media, including ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. The burden of these unexplained delays should not rest on the shoulders of the Crenshaw Corridor community, which acted in good faith and supported this historic project. If the city fails to provide a complete and substantive response to this correspondence within 30 days of the date of this letter, the Crenshaw Corridor community reserves its right to pursue all of its rights and remedies. Sincerely, the Crenshaw Corridor community. To read the complete letter detailing all of our demands, go to our website at kbla1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580, download the
I'm Jesse Jackson. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. There are two kinds of people who carry a tradition forward. There is the one who takes the tradition into himself and makes something new out of it. And there's the one who keeps the papers, makes sure that letters and sermons and margin notes survive the fire so that 100 years from now, somebody can still hear the man think. It's rare for those to be the same person. My guest today is that rare case. Howard Thurman was the mystic of the movement. He was dean of chapel at Howard, then at Boston University. He went to India in 1935 and sat with Gandhi and came back with a question that would not let him go. He wrote a small book called Jesus and the Disinherited. And Martin Luther King said to have carried this book in a briefcase through Montgomery, Thurman never led a march. He did something harder. He built the interior life that made marching possible. What he called the sound of the genuine, the still place a person retreats to so that a mob outside cannot tell him who he is. Samuel DeWitt Proctor was the other pole. Proctor was the builder. He was the president of Virginia Union at 34 years old, was president of North Carolina, A&T State University. He ran the Peace Corps in Nigeria. He stood in the pulpit of Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem, and he taught at Rutgers. And out of that pulpit and that classroom came a genuine generation of preachers who were still preaching. Proctor took the interior life Thurman described and gave it an institution, a payroll, a curriculum, and a congregation. Thurman told you who you were. Proctor built the school that would tell the next child. Now, if you want to know where tradition actually lives, do not look at who quotes it. Look at who has been trusted with its papers, and look at who has been trusted with its young people. Walter Earl Fluker has been trusted with both. For more than 30 years, he's been an editor of the Howard Thurman Papers Project. He's the man who holds the archive, and he has spent some of those 30 years, most of them, in fact, in institutions Proctor built and blessed. Morehouse, Colgate, Rochester Crozier, Boston University, Candler, and the Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology itself. He's standing exactly where those two men meet and where their work comes together. He came to it the long way. He was born in Mississippi. His people ran out of Mississippi in 1957, the way so many of our people ran, and landed on the south side of Chicago and moved 12 times in 6 years. When he was 13 years old, he and two friends set out walking to the International Amphitheater to see a rodeo, and on the way they crossed under the Dan Ryan, that expressway which displaced 81,000 people, most of them black, and which everybody in Chicago understood was not a road but a border. On the far side of that border, a mob was waiting with pipes and a knife. He ran. He's been thinking about that run ever since. His new book is called Wake Up Running: Building Democratic Space at the Crossings. It is out from Broadleaf, and the argument is this, that running is not our shame, running is our inheritance and our discipline. Our people ran out of bondage and ran towards freedom they've never seen and could not prove even existed. He calls them renegades. Not renegades, renegades. And he says the American Republic is now at its own crossing, as he puts it, of madness and hope. And that the first task of any leader worth the name in his 250th years is to build what he calls democratic space. Not to win an argument, to build a room where the people who have been counted on can walk in, speak, and be heard. Dr. Walter Earl Fluker, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Fluker, I think your mic might be muted. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, Dr. Walter Fluker will be our very special guest. It's one of these interviews, one of these rare interviews that I actually look forward to participating in. In fact, I've taken my time to program this interview so that it has a life far beyond this day, because Dr. Walter Earl Fluker is definitely that figure. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
Ready for a weekend reset? Walk it out with me, Gina A. Towns, the artist formerly known as Gina Darby, on Reflectivity Beyond Black and White, as we seek peace, understanding, and healing beyond surface level perspectives, where reflectivity becomes our inner power and resilience to transform our lives and our communities no matter what. Meet me and my crazy cool guests. Join the Reflectivity family movement as we make sense of it all. Every bit, every morsel. We're going to nourish the mind, body, and soul unapologetically right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Every Saturday, 2 and 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 and 10 in the Midwest, and 5 and 11 on the East Coast. It's time for Reflectivity Beyond Black and White. It's not only hot, it's sizzling, and we're cooking.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
Originally, the project was supposed to end, I was told, October of that year, and now we're looking at 5 years later, and it still hasn't been finished. I still have no parking lot. We have to park blocks away to get to work, along with my clients with sick animals. I have elderly clients, I have handicapped clients. They have to, either suffer through, park somewhere far, and make their way to the clinic with their sick animal so I can treat them. Or they can choose to go somewhere else, which is more convenient. And so I think the majority of people would probably choose the more convenient way. Luckily, I definitely have some clients that will still, make that trip. So it's definitely been impacting my business for 5 years. Like I said, my father, he has 3 sons, as affectionately known as the Hardy Boys. We're all veterinarians. My oldest brother has a practice in Long Beach. My middle brother has a practice in Arcadia. He instilled all his greatness in us, and so we're continuing tradition. I would definitely continue the tradition of Angeles Vista Pet Medical Center. We're on the corner of Crenshaw and Vernon. But this impact appears to be going on way too long. Something needs to be done. It has to be concluded.
Making sure they follow through. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Fluker, welcome forward to the show.
I'm glad to be here, Jesse. Glad to be with you.
Dr. Fluker, I take our interview very, very seriously, and I shared with our producer, Gina Towns, that I want to make sure that the interview itself is evergreen because you are definitely that figure. And this is an interview that I'd like to play and cherish for a very long time. So I've divided our conversation into 5 movements. The first one is the 13-year-old. You were 13 and you were walking to a rodeo. Tell me what happened under the Dan Ryan.
Well, Keith, my friends, Keith, Tony, and I had been given tickets by Keith's mama. And we were headed to the amphitheater. You know where that is, on a Halsted. And we had never ventured beyond our neighborhood. So it was quite a trek for us. After we passed Halsted, we were in different territory. Anyone in Chicago who knows anything about that past will know that once you passed Halsted, you were in dangerous territory. But we didn't know that. So it was our innocence that guided us, and we were playing, signifying, talking about one another's parents, etc. And out of nowhere, Tony said, "Hey, y'all, there's some white boys." And our laughter and our play turned into fright and flight. And we were off running. And we ran to the rodeo that morning, actually. And it was quite an affair because I slipped on the ice, Jesse. And one of the guys stood over me with a knife and called me this name that we well know and mixed it with some crude obscenities. And I was able to regain balance miraculously and pick up the run again. And I was running so fast, I say in the book, I felt like I was that character in the Roadrunner cartoon. My legs had left my body. And I actually ran through a guy who was standing in the middle of the street to stop me. I ran through him or over him, I'm not sure. But I made it that day to the amphitheater to see cowboys. It was a traumatic experience.
Dr. Fluker, you write that when you slipped on the ice, that you were laughing while you were running. Why did you laugh when you were most afraid?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I think that we often laugh when we are most afraid, when we are most alienated from our deepest selves. Sometimes laughter, Paul Laurence Dunbar, is a clever facade. You know, we mask with the laugh, but it's not quite that. It's part of leaving oneself and finding oneself in strange territory without a map. And we laugh at it, and it borders on insanity. And I don't think we're far from that some days, not just in personal spaces, but in public spaces. I think I hear that kind of laughter nowadays around some of the conversations that are going on in the nation. Deep, deep alienation that is born of fear, but not knowing how to address the fear. So we laugh.
I think that's profound, because there's a kind of natural response to the idea that when we are experiencing this kind of public anxiety, public trauma, this public fear, if you will, concern about tomorrow, that the reaction may not be what you expect it to be. We almost shrug it off and we can't explain it. Your parents I'm sorry, Doc.
It may be a survival tactic. It's ways in which we learn to maintain some semblance of balance as we move through the world. The weight. I have a good friend, philosopher friend, who always talks about finitude. And sometimes our finitude, bearing the weight of our existence, brings us to a place where all that we have left maybe is a laugh or a moan.
You write that your parents ran out of Mississippi in 1957, 12 moves in 6 years. What do your mother and father think about the idea you were running to and they were running to?
Well, they're not here to speak about it now, Jesse, but I do know that my mom and dad were looking for a home. They had made home in Mississippi. All of their family was from Mississippi and Louisiana. And moving to Chicago, they were again alienated from home. So in Chicago, there was a restlessness to find home. And home was not just a physical locale, it was not just a house, it was a space of communion with others where things were familiar. So, as you already know, most of the Black folks during my generation were part of the last great migration to the North. And many of the folks we knew were also from Mississippi, Arkansas, some maybe from Louisiana, but in Chicago, a lot of Mississippians, Tennesseans looking for a home. And they found glimpses of home in a number of places, mainly the church for my family. Others would probably find it in the blues joints, with which I became very familiar as I got older. But you find home where you can sing the blues or sing the gospel. But learning home is a wonderful thing. So my parents were looking for a home. And unfortunately, I don't think they really ever adjusted to Chicago. They were always remembering home. And I grew up in that kind of space. And that is one of the defining motifs of this book, homing, which is one of the moves you've identified. But my parents were homing, Jesse. They were trying to find home. And the big question, I think, for certainly African Americans, but many dislocated people in our country and in the world throughout diasporas, are people who are missing home, searching for a home.
I think that's where we're obviously going to end up at the end of the hour. Dr. Fluker, you use the word, and it's central to the book, and I think it's important that it be explained. Renegade. Where does it come from, and why isn't runaway good enough?
Yeah. Renegade is an old English term, which was used for servants and other fugitives, mainly fugitives, who would leave in acts of defiance. They were quote unquote troublemakers. They'd run away. They refused the authority of the Lord or of the estate or of their master. And it works its way into our English, and it becomes most popular in Black life through the poetry of Robert Hayden, who taught for many years at Fisk and later at the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor. He wrote a poem in 1962 about Harriet Tubman. She was a renegade. She defied authority, and it's a wonderful poem. I recommend it to any of your listeners. You can find it under Robert Hayden's name. I have just one little verse. It says, renegade. And then it says, run, falls, rises, stumbles on the darkness into darkness, and the darkness thicketed with shapes of terror. And the hunters pursuing, and the hounds pursuing, and the night cold, and the night long, and the river to cross, and the jack-o'-lanterns beckoning, and blackness ahead. And when shall I reach that somewhere morning, and keep on going, and never turn back, and keep on going? Then Hayden says, renegade, renegade, renegade. Trying to get home, trying to find home.
Dr. Fluker, you say that you draw a line between a runaway and a maroon. A runaway is still living under the other man's law. A maroon has left. Which one right now is Black America fighting or fighting with, fighting in? A maroon or runaway?
Yeah, I borrow much of this scholarship from a number of historians. One is Sylvain Diouf, who talks about exiles, slavery as exiles. But the key point is that runaways are still under the authority of their masters. They've just run away, but they didn't run away. They are close enough to kind of be captured. And even if they're not captured, they're still trying to be close to the big farmhouse, as Frederick Douglass called it, the big house farm, rather. They're close to the plantation. But Maroons are trying to leave Dodge. They're getting out of there. They're going into exile. And I often make a distinction theologically between exodus and exile along those same lines. I think sometimes we've overplayed the exodus motif or metaphor in the Bible. We really are more akin to exiles, those who've run away and are not planning on returning. But there were two kinds of Maroons. One was the border Maroon, who was close to the border of the plantation so that they could occasionally visit family, steal food from the master, and have some familiarity with old landscapes. But the hinterlands, those Maroons in the hinterland, they had no plan whatsoever of ever returning. They were really trying to get back home to Africa.
Let me ask this question, because I think I heard a song from I can't remember who the artist was. It might have been Beyonce, where she said something to the effect, "Free your mind and the rest will follow."
Yeah.
Well, it's in vogue. It's in vogue. Okay, my head said, "Free your mind and your ass will follow."
Yeah, there were some Maroons who said, "You can have this. We don't want an intrastate colony. We don't want to be free within this country. We just want to leave here, and we will risk everything to make that happen."
You say that maroonage is an attitude and a plan. What's the plan, Dr. Flipper?
The plan is to find home somewhere else. And the plan, I spent a lot of time in the book stringing these words that start with C's, these gerunds. For people who remember 4th, 5th grade English, those are active verbs. I talk about congregating, conjuring, conspiring in commons at crossings. But the plan is to find a new place, a new dwelling place where one is at home, one is oneself, or one finds oneself for the first time after bondage. So the part of the plan is to, as Frederick Douglass, being one of the prime examples, was to leave. His plan, of course, was to return and change America. And of course, I think he did a fairly good job during that period of time, but he left with an attitude. Vincent Wimbush says he left with an attitude. And his plan was, of course, to reform the soul of America.
Dr. Fluker, I have about 1 minute before we come forward, which is our break. There are people listening who are hearing running, and at the same time they hear cowardice. Can you answer them?
Yeah, Otis Redding had a song in the 60s. It says, "Preacher and the deacon were praying one day. Along came a bear coming down the way. Preacher told the deacon to say a prayer. He said, 'Lord, a prayer won't kill this bear. We got to run for it.'"
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Our very special guest is none other than the great Dr. Walter Earl Flipper. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Wisconsin's Democratic primary for governor ended in an upset, with Black Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley narrowly defeating favorite candidate Francesca Hong.
We fought through this primary because Wisconsinites have rejected the politics of fear.
Crowley, who had the backing of retiring Governor Tony Evers, will face Republican Tom Tiffany in November. A former Fayette County Public Schools employee in Kentucky is suing the district, claiming racial discrimination. Cassandra Tokash says her wellness specialist contract was not renewed because she is white, while the department's only black employee kept their position despite having less seniority. An GoFundMe has been launched for Malcolm Jamal Warner's widow, Tanisha, who is reportedly struggling financially while raising their daughter. Page 6 says she is also in a legal dispute with Warner's mother over money from the family trust. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are about to change ownership again. NBA sources are reporting that Lakers owner Mark Walter, who bought the franchise last year for $10 billion, is selling it to a couple of very rich businessmen, Josh Kushner and Bob Iger. Key players in the NBA's potential expansion into Las Vegas have agreed to pay Walter $12 billion for the Lakers. Walter is the majority owner of the Dodgers, but it appears he's ending his relationship with the Lakers after just 1 year. More details to come on this surprising development. The NFL is considering a suspension for Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua at the start of the regular season. The league is reviewing whether Nacua has violated the league's code of conduct policy. Nacua, who led the NFL in receptions last season, is facing a civil lawsuit from a woman accusing him of assault and anti-Semitic comments. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through this city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Class is in session every weekend, live on the air. So if you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show, every Saturday, 12 noon, and replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found Tax Relief Advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did, they gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8935. 800-575-8935. That's 800-575-8935.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Moving Mountain Wednesdays. I know I messed that up. Worldwide with Jesse Jackson Jr. Wealthy Wednesday on Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Walter Earl Fluker, the founder of Walter Earl Fluker and Associates, is a distinguished academic and leadership expert with notable positions across various institutions. He currently holds the title of Distinguished Professor at the Howard Thurman Center, Hartford University for Religion and Peace, and has led 10 years as Dean of Professor at Emory's University's Candler School of Theology and Professor Emeritus at Boston University, where he also managed the Howard Thurman Papers Project. He is the author of Wake Up Running. He is our very special guest in this hour. Dr. Fluker, welcome forward to the show.
Back. I'm back.
Yes, you are. I'm so grateful that you are. Dr. Fluker, there's a reason why you get to write this book.
Yes.
30 plus years editing Howard Thurman's papers. What does a man learn about Howard Thurman that you cannot get from the published books?
Howard Thurman was a friend of God.
Friend
he had a
of
very,
God.
he was a friend, like the biblical Enoch. He walked with God, and he was not because God took him. God wanted to keep him as a friend. That's who Thurman was. He wasn't a servant of God and none of that stuff. They were partners. Had a very intimate relationship, friendship with God. So that's one of the ways to think of Thurman. Sue Bailey Thurman, his beloved spouse for many years, said that Howard lived under a tent with God. And every now and then, she, among others, was allowed to enter. But he walked closely with God, Jesse. And God for Thurman was not this old bearded guy in the sky, but God was within. God was in everything. God was in nature. God was in Jesse. God was in the far reaches of the universe, but this same God was also within. And for him, the kingdom, however we choose to use that language nowadays, the kingdom was within. And that was one of his, I think, gifts to us if we can hold on to it. We don't have to do all of the twists and turns that sometimes our rituals and practices demand. We must become more and more aware that we are already God's friends.
I was listening to a documentary with Dr. Henry Louis Gates, and there was this profound moment where you said about Dr. Howard Thurman that he talked to trees.
I just told you, man, he found God in trees. What we've done with that, at least I, over the years, and some of my, I'm the editor of the Howard Thurman Papers Project. I hired a managing editor, but I was the editor. And I had a bunch of folks. We know that Thurman was closely related to his African heritage through his grandmother, Nancy, and that his family probably came from an area that we would associate with the Gambia. And so he was closely connected to his own religious experience. And he's constantly saying this in his writings. He wants us to claim our own religious experience, not the religion that other folks gave us. And for Thurman, you can read that in many ways. Certainly not the religion of Europeans. No. He mastered the European Christ, but that was not his Christ. In fact, he had very little to do with that kind of Christology. He thought Jesus was an intimate friend with whom he walked and he talked and would find the spirit of the living God in all forms of nature, especially the old oak tree that was in his backyard as a boy. He'd talk aloud to the tree, and he said he'd tell the tree about all of his troubles. And for mystics, trees are important. I won't bore you with a lot of heavy talk, but it's the oxys mundi. It's the pillar of the earth. Like when you see Jacob climbing the ladder, it's this thing that holds the earth. Thurman and the tree are pulling infinity into finitude. And to know this, Thurman thinks, is to be free.
Thurman was not a marcher. Thurman was not a marcher, Dr. Fluker.
No, he didn't do a lot of marching.
Some people held that against him. Defend him. Defend him.
Yeah, I have no need to defend him, but I'll tell you, Otis Moss Sr. often says, he did not march, but he knew what to do before the march. He knew why the march, and he was also the architect in many ways of what we call the modern nonviolent civil rights movement. Thurman was the first African American to lead a delegation to meet with Gandhi in 1935-36. And it was his work with nonviolence that he bequeathed not only to Martin Luther King Jr. and others, but Benny Mays went to India after Thurman. Mordecai Wyatt Johnson went to India after Thurman. And Thurman's little book, Jesus and the Disinherited, is his first toss out on what it means to be part of this nonviolent, compassionate resistance to evil. And so I don't defend him. I tell people, go and read Thurman. Go to the water and get a drink, kind of like Naaman. Go and clean yourself in the river. That might be the way to meet Thurman. If you think because he was so far, I think, into the movement of spirit that our movement on the ground was a for instance for him of what it takes to move this system of which we are part. So he didn't march, but he was at the March on Washington. He said he was there with his friend Frank Wilson, and they just marveled at the young Martin. They were just marveling at young Martin, he said. There's a blessing in getting old, I'm telling you, man.
He had a phrase called the Apostles of Sensitiveness. What did he mean, and why did you build your last chapter on it?
Thurman's apostle of sensitiveness are those whose nerve endings he did a lot with the body, Jesse. Thurman was a body theologian, not an embodied, but a body theologian. He felt that the human body told us a lot about spirit. And he felt like our nerve endings, this neurological piece that is part of us, is what gives us key to awareness and sensitivity of what's going on within us and within the world. So he wanted to create a new cadre of leaders who were apostles of this kind of sensitivity, this awareness of the deep and also awareness of the world. And he felt that if they could practice this deep work of spirituality, as we call it, over a sustained period of time, they could come together and create a beachhead for American democracy. They could transform American democracy, much like, and he was really looking back at Gandhi, much like the work that had been done in the ashrams and, of course, in the movement in India. But in America, he really envisioned that. And so he became the pastor of the Fellowship Church, as you know, and was dean of Rankin Chapel at Howard, later at Boston University, but always experimenting with this idea.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, the argument, why democratic spaces and homing, madness and hope. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Our very special guest is Dr. Walter Earl Pfluger, the founder of Walter Earl Pfluger and Associates, and also the responsible man who's responsible for pulling the life of Howard Thurman and his papers together for all of us and for eternity. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Helping communities get connected. Along the Crenshaw Corridor, free public Wi-Fi is now available thanks to Destination Crenshaw and the City of Los Angeles. Whether you're checking email, applying for jobs, finishing homework, or supporting your local businesses, staying connected is easier than ever because access to the internet means access to opportunity. To learn more and find Wi-Fi locations near you, visit www.getconnected.lacity.gov. Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
I actually live on this block, and it has affected my life because I'm a knock nurse. We have everyone coming over here that's on meth, drugs, and everything. I've called multiple times to Los Angeles County about once you leave out of here, you will see once you go down to this stop sign, it's pitch black. There's no lights over here.
No lights?
No lights on this side or that side. You have people with mental issues throwing these gates to Crenshaw. Children don't like to come outside anymore on their scooters, their bikes, their helmets, and they're speeding up and down. No regards to life at all. Like I said, I leave out of work. I'm a traveling nurse, so I take my contracts in Los Angeles County, but I may have to go to Montebello. I may have to go to Van Nuys. I leave out at 9:45 sometimes sooner, and it's someone breaking into our mailboxes because they're breaking into our mailboxes.
So now the mail's not coming.
Yeah, breaking your windows in your vehicle, and it's just really sad.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
There is no denying that we've always been the conscience of this country. KBLA Talk 1580 is progressive talk radio built for our community, by our community, and with hosts who look like you, live near you, and care about what you care about. 50,000 watts of truth right here in Southern California. KBLA Talk 1580. Listen live on your AM radio dial at 1580 or stream us live on our KBLA1580.com website or on our free KBLA 1580 app.
Unapologetically progressive.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Walter Earl Fluker, instrumental in founding the Andrew Young Center for Global Leadership and served as the Coca-Cola Professor of Leadership Studies at Morehouse College, renowned as a consultant, a speaker, and workshop leader. His contributions have been recognized worldwide in academic, governmental, and religious sectors. Dr. Fluker's work earned him numerous honors, including being named in the 2023 Franklin Delano Roosevelt Freedom of Worship Award laureate. His work, Wake Up Running, Building Democratic Spaces at the Crossings, is available on Amazon.com right now. And please go to Amazon.com and get Wake Up Running by Dr. Walter Earl Fluker. Dr. Fluker, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Fluker, a few more questions before our show comes to an end. And this is really the thesis of the book. Democratic spaces. What is a democratic space, Doc?
A democratic space is anywhere where belonging and inclusiveness is not only valued, but celebrated. It centers on the principle of an almost hackneyed word now, equality. Not just equity. I understand the difference, as people often go, but to be equal, Jesse, what does that mean? And what does it mean to be recognized for who you are and to have a sense of belonging? Not to be set apart and cast apart as a foul and profane thing, or to just be different and not receive value. So what does it mean to be an immigrant at this point in our history? What does it mean to be LGBTQAI and more? What does it mean to be excluded from the conversation about you? Democratic space allows us to have voice and recognition. It prevents anonymity. I mentioned that in the book, and I noticed that you picked that up. But to be anonymous, to be a faceless thing, as Thurman says, to go up and down the streets of other minds without any acknowledgement is a very lonely space. So democratic space is also the creative and contested space where those who have no part, who have been erased, speak out and disrupt systems so that others like themselves can have a part. Last point, democratic space is also where I find home in the heart of the other. And I leave my heart open for the other as a place of respite and home. It precedes democratic government, Jesse. I'm not talking just about institutions, while as important as they are. I do not devalue them, but there's a precondition. There is a spiritual and ethical association and obligation that democratic space demands, so that when we talk about democratic government and its various institutions, we can actually actualize the ideals for which they stand or represent.
I can ask a lot of more questions, and I hope you'll come back on our program. This democratic space. But as we bring our program to a close, you close on this idea of homing, the book's last movement. Homing. You say home is not a fixed address. What is it? Then what is it?
Home, we do have to go, but I want to read this and we can even leave here. Toni Morrison says, whose house is this? Whose night keeps out the light in here? Say, who owns this house? It is not mine. I had another sweeter. The house is strange. Its shadows lie. Say, tell me, why does its lock fit my key? Most of us who think we're at home, we're in a house that has been made for us, created for us, constructed for us, which denies us our humanity. Homing disrupts that construction and calls us into a sphere of freedom. That's what running is. Running is not just about fear of the other. Running is meant to imply running to a new future. In this case, democratic futures. Given where we're going in November of this year, I think the quest for home, especially among people who have been historically excluded and disinherited, will be one of the most primary questions that we will raise. Because we've not found home, though we've been here a long time. We've not yet found home. God help us if we miss this opportunity.
Dr. Fluker, we have a little less than a minute coming forward. You end with Dr. King's World House and the old spiritual, plenty good room. Choose your seat and sit down. Is there still plenty good room in America?
Yeah, if we follow King, and that's a very dangerous proposition. But we must congregate, come together, conjure, remix, rethink some of the old things with the new things, like the great World House, and conspire, breathe together, Jesse. Not being diabolical, but to breathe spirit together in commons at these very maddening and dangerous crossings in the third decade of the 21st century. And anyone who does not understand what I'm saying, then they need to wake up running.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It doesn't get much more profound than that. Dr. Walter Earl Fluker has been our very special guest this hour. Dr. Fluker, hopefully, I'm looking forward to your return to KBLA Talk 1580 in the future.
See you soon on the run.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Wake up running, everybody. More on KBLA Talk 1580 right here on KBLA Talk 1580 in just a moment.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Wisconsin's Democratic primary for governor ended in an upset with Black Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley narrowly defeating favorite candidate Francesca Hong.
We fought through this primary because Wisconsinites have rejected
The politics of fear.
Crowley, who had the backing of retiring Governor Tony Evers, will face Republican Tom Tiffany in November. A former Fayette County Public Schools employee in Kentucky is suing the district, claiming racial discrimination. Cassandra Tokash says her wellness specialist contract was not renewed because she is white, while the department's only black employee kept their position despite having less seniority. An GoFundMe has been launched for Malcolm Jamal Warner's widow, Tanisha, who is reportedly struggling financially while raising their daughter. Page 6 says she is also in a legal dispute with Warner's mother over money from the family trust. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are about to change ownership again. NBA sources are reporting that Lakers owner Mark Walter, who bought the franchise last year for $10 billion, is selling it to a couple of very rich businessmen, Josh Kushner and Bob Iger. Key players in the NBA's potential expansion into Las Vegas have agreed to pay Walter $12 billion for the Lakers. Walter is the majority owner of the Dodgers, but it appears he's ending his relationship with the Lakers after just 1 year. More details to come on this surprising development. The NFL is considering a suspension for Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua at the start of the regular season. The league is reviewing whether Nacua has violated the league's code of conduct policy. Nacua, who led the NFL in receptions last season, is facing a civil lawsuit from a woman accusing him of assault and anti-Semitic comments. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. August 5, 2026. Dear LA City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson, on behalf of a coalition of businesses and residents that constitute the Crenshaw Corridor community, we write to request that a concrete timeline and resources for fully completing Destination Crenshaw within a year be developed and announced. A year is the outside time it should take, and we hope and expect that it can be finished considerably sooner. We also request the immediate establishment of a business interruption relief fund for the merchants, entrepreneurs, churches, and property owners who have borne the disproportionate economic burden of the prolonged delays associated with the Destination Crenshaw project, and a resident relief fund for the residents of the corridor who have been most adversely affected by the prolonged construction and delays associated with this unfinished development. Destination Crenshaw was presented to this community as a transformational investment in Black culture, Black commerce, and the future of South Los Angeles. It has now been 6 years since the project broke ground and over 2 years since the promised completion date. Construction has stalled with no apparent end date in sight. The Crenshaw Corridor community embraced the vision of Destination Crenshaw, but the obstruction from the delayed construction has caused prolonged health and safety hazards, uncertainty, reduced customer access, declining revenues, disruptions, and mounting financial hardship. A broad spectrum of the community expressed their frustration over these delays and the impact they have had on the community at a standing room only July 30th town hall at Bethesda Temple Church, widely covered by the media, including ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. The burden of these unexplained delays should not rest on the shoulders of the Crenshaw Corridor community, which acted in good faith and supported this historic project. If the city fails to provide a complete and substantive response to this correspondence within 30 days of the date of this letter, the Crenshaw Corridor community reserves its right to pursue all of its rights and remedies. Sincerely, the Crenshaw Corridor community. To read the complete letter detailing all of our demands, go to our website at kbla1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. What Tuesday night told us on Wealthy Wednesdays with Dr. Todd Yeary. Good afternoon, everyone. 6 states voted yesterday: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Connecticut, Vermont, Alabama, South Carolina. And if you're watching for a single verdict, a clean answer to the question everybody in Washington keeps asking about which Democratic Party is going to show up in November, you did not get one. What you got was something more useful and more honest. You got a reading of the country's temperature, and let me give you 3 things I heard in those returns. First, what it says about the Democratic Party: the party is not choosing between socialists and moderates, it's choosing between the comfortable and the urgent. Look at what actually happened. Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan beat Congresswoman Angie Craig by nearly 20 points in a Senate primary, where Craig and her allies spent close to $20 million on the air, and Flanagan spent under 5. In Vermont, 38-year-old economist named Amandu Janu, who had never run for anything and was unknown in March, beat the establishment candidate by about 3 points. In Connecticut's 1st District, a 14-term congressman, John Larson, who I served with when I was in Congress, a good man, who served since 1999, was retired by Luke Brannan with 54%, and after outside groups poured more than $2 million into a Hartford primary. Now, hold that against the other column. In Connecticut, Governor Ned Lamont beat back a challenge from his left by better than 2-1, and the race was called 20 minutes after the polls closed. In Minnesota, Senator Amy Klobuchar took 89% and became the first woman to win the DFL nomination for governor. And in Wisconsin, the marquee fight, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley beat Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong by 3,211 votes, half a percentage point. The Associated Press did not call it until 2:34 in the morning. So which is it? It is both, and not a pattern. It is not ideological. It's not postural. Where an incumbent had a record voters could hold in their hands, Lamont's surpluses, Klobuchar's 4 state wins, Ilhan Omar's 80% in the 5th, the incumbent survived, where the seat was open, or where the answer is to you, why you? Was seniority the challenger won? Larson did not lose because he was too moderate. Brannan is not to his left. Larson lost because I've been here a long time. It's no longer an argument. That is not a purge. That is a party asking its own leadership a question and refusing to accept the old answer. Secondly, what does it say about control of Congress? Be careful right here, because primaries are not general elections, and a party can win an argument with itself and still lose a country. But watch the arithmetic. Wisconsin's governor race now runs through Crowley against Tom Tiffany, with the president's endorsement on Tiffany's side, and the state decided by less than a point in 2024. Minnesota's open Senate seat is Flanagan against Michelle Tafoya, a genuine test of whether the platform that wins in a primary can hold a purple state. And in Minnesota's 2nd, the open seat Craig vacated, Matt Little emerged in a 3-way contest, about 47%. Democrats need a net 3 in the House and a net 4 in the Senate. Every one of these margins is inside the noise. What Tuesday tells us about the fall is this: money did not decide these races. $20 million lost in Minnesota, $2 million did not work in Hartford, but only because it was pushing in the direction voters were already leaning. When spending stops predicting outcomes, you're no longer looking at a normal election cycle. You're looking at an electorate that has made up its mind about something and is waiting to be asked the right question. And finally, what it says about the nation's mood. And that brings me to the president. Nobody on that ballot last night ran as a manager, not one. Flanagan built her campaign around immigration enforcement and against a colleague's vote on the Laken-Riley Act. Hong ran on universal child care and abolishing ICE and came within a whisker in a swing state. Janu ran on free primary care, paid for taxing high earners in a state with a popular Republican governor she now has to face. Even Crowley, the centrist, the one establishment got, had to quit his campaign and restart it before he could win by 3,000 votes. That is not a country in a settled mood. That is a country that believes something is wrong, and the direction and the auditioning of people who will say so plainly. Donald Trump is the last occasion for that feeling, but I want to be careful not to make him its whole content. The affordability of life, the security of a household, the sense that the arrangement is rigged, Those grievances predate him and will outlive him. We still live in the parenthesis. The question the voters asked Tuesday night was not who is safe, it was who is serious. November will tell us whether that question can be answered. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on Wealthy Wednesdays, Todd Yeary, the politics of our faith. When we come forward, we're going to handicap this election cycle. More on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Charmin Ultra Strong. You can use less, better than the rest. Charmin Ultra Strong. Your booty past the clean test. Salmon weave texture, it's the best. Study up, teach a lesson on fresh. Your booty past the clean test. Yes, sir. Charmin Ultra Strong.
Charmin Ultra Strong with diamond weave texture cleans better than the leading one-ply brand, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
I heard that this brother is MIA, but I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Marquise Dawson. It's his district. He has an office in the back of Crenshaw Destination. I have not seen this brother one time in my life. On TV, yes. Newspapers, yes. And all that other stuff. But to come across the street and talk to people, or even next door to talk to people, I haven't seen this brother ever. The people who are doing the construction, and my count is 21 months. You'll let me know if I'm wrong or how long it's been abandoned. I'm calling it abandoned construction. And I've emailed a lot of people from the city, and they always gave me a date that it'll be done this day, it'll be done that day. But next door to us is the people who actually are doing the construction. Those are my next door neighbors. That's how I know what's going on. They haven't been there for 21 months.
Not letting them get away with anything. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in the politics of our faith on Wealthy Wednesdays with Dr. Todd Yeary, Esquire, 1 foot in the courtroom. He is a lawyer, and 1 foot in the pulpit. He is a preacher every Sunday morning. Dr. Urie's social justice work includes having served on the national board of the National Action Network from 2015 to 2021. That's the organization run by Reverend Al Sharpton and founded by him as well as working with the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, my dad, International Human Rights and Civil Rights Organization, the Rainbow Push Coalition. Dr. Urie, welcome forward to the show.
Masterful opening commentary, my brother. You've laid it all out there. We can take it early out. Great to see you. 417. Let's go eat.
I really appreciate that, but I'm not going to let you off that easy, Doc. From your perspective, Doc, what did last night's election say about the Democratic Party?
Well, it said to the Democratic Party what it's always taught us about politics. Yeah. That you don't come away with just kind of one overarching controlling theme that's going to carry or hold sway across all 50 states, across all types of elections. We've got to be more nuanced and more sophisticated, and we have to be more credible, quite honestly, to recognize that it is disingenuous to say you're going to have a single policy message as a one-size-fits-all and expect that everybody's going to support you in that effort. You have to be more intentional. You have to be more persistent. You have to be, quite honestly, more willing to take on the vulnerability of hearing that while there are a lot of voices in the Democratic Party, we don't always carry around the same agenda in our pockets. And we've got to be willing to have that conversation and then bring credible candidates, not just incredible candidates, but credible candidates to the conversation in the party.
Dr. Urie, so this idea that the Democratic Socialists of America are taking over the Democratic Party, that's not the message from last night's election campaigns.
I don't even know what that means. Right? I'm like, huh? Listen, I often say this, and I hold to it, especially now. If you remember, let's go back to our early days of grade school when we were learning how to alphabetize words. Right. So you did them in the sequence they fall of the 26 letters of the alphabet. Then you move to the second letter, and then you move to the third letter. All right. Using that as a frame, I think it is important. The word what, W-H-A-T, comes before the word who, W-H-O, in the dictionary and in politics. We keep trying to put who conversations in what places.
That's
and
all
we
right
don't.
now.
We don't get to the substance of what are we talking about in the first place. You want me to pick a person before I am sure that that person has picked my issue. And so if we don't have, I think the Democratic Party is learning, you got to have what conversations and then let the people decide who is going to be the standard bearer for their particular issue in that context, whether it's for House of Representatives, United States Senate, statewide races for governor. Those don't carry just a single standard litmus test that you then use as a cookie cutter across the country. That's lazy politics. If we're going to have substantive political conversations, we've got to meet people where they are, figuratively and literally, and then let that inform how we build a partnership around changing the agenda and the platform so that the best of all of us gets included in the recipe.
You're going to hear that one again, and you're not going to get any credit for it. So let's give you your credit right now. The who does not come before the what. The what conversation comes first, and then we will determine the who. So this conversation starts out here on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Todd Urie said we must put the what the party stands for before the who, and then we will identify the what with the who we're going to support to accomplish the what. Now, by the time you hear that again, will be a great philosopher. Once said, the who comes after the what. By the time I deliver it, it's going to be Jesse Jackson Jr. has always.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. What must come before the who.
Look, that's why I put it out that way, because I knew that's how you were feeling. See, my I have to use my discernment. Listen, here's what it is. It's not what the party is not a thinking thing of its own. So this isn't about what the party thinks. It's what the people
Yeah.
who identify as this particular political frame. And there's just two basic distinctions between what it means to be a Republican versus a Democrat. Largely, historically, it has been Democrats view the federal government as a partner and a resource to help make sure people have what they need. Republicans think that small government is better, and therefore there should be more obligation placed on individuals to be able to carry the weight of whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, kind of the pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of reality. Big taxation versus small taxation. So there's some pretty clear distinctions, right? But then the next level is once we get there, what do you do with public money? This is the simplest thing about what the politics game is all about. Municipalities have budgets. States have budgets. Counties have budgets. The United States government has a budget. Those are public dollars that are leveraged to address private concerns. What private concerns get addressed because there's not enough public money to go around to address all of them. So somebody's going to get left out. Who gets left out ultimately comes down, many instances, to who is playing. Now, who's participating in the process? Who's voting? Where are they coming from? They're looking at that analysis, but also who is engaged in the supporting of the electoral process by supporting candidates. What does that look like? We got to remember, this game is still monopoly, but this is not play money that we're working with. These are public dollars that come out of people's pockets. And once they are taken out of your pocket and you never see them again, the last time I heard what that was, we called that theft. Remember, I got one foot in the courtroom. So if somebody's only taking from you but not giving back to you, that's not an exchange. That's a stick up. And we got to have that kind of a conversation.
Dr. Uri, I appreciate that. And we're going to work with that right here on this program in the future. What does last night's elections say about control of Congress? Is it a foregone conclusion that Democrats will regain control of Congress? Even though, I must be clear, last night's struggle was an inter-party struggle over the direction of the party between candidates. We still have to fight the Republican in November. No one should lose sight of that. But is it a foregone conclusion that Hakeem Jeffries will be Speaker of the House, or is it not necessarily a foregone conclusion?
It's not a foregone conclusion that Leader Jeffries becomes the Speaker of the House, even if the Democrats do take the House.
He does have a mountain to climb within the Democratic Party if Democrats take control of the Congress.
Yeah, I mean, depending on which new faces show up,
yeah,
that's not necessarily a given that he gets to 218 to become the Speaker. So it's not that you get the majority of your party. You've got to get 218 votes. Got to figure it out. And if that then ends up leaning that you need some Republican votes, he's not going to get those. I mean, it'll be a replay of what we saw the last time at the, this, what goes around comes around. This is really about, here's how you know who's going to take the House is let's look at the various races. Let's look at the voter turnout. Let's look at what's different about the field in which folks have to play. Gerrymandering is a big deal. And then we got to figure out what does the on-the-ground mobilization look like once we get closer to the early voting windows and actual election day, that first Tuesday in November.
Here's my prediction, however, that if, in fact, for whatever it's worth, I know how we feel right now, but if, in fact, Hakeem Jeffries is not the Speaker and Democrats regain control, how we feel today won't necessarily be how we feel if that happens. We're going to be some kind of mad that the first Negro who could have been Speaker of the House in the history of the United States ain't. And that we can have an African-American president of the United States, an African-American woman to be vice president of the United States, but we still can't have a Speaker of the People's House or the president of a Senate in the United States. I think the consequences of that are the kind of fodder that Republicans will use to continue to convince black men in the Democratic Party that there's no room for them in the Democratic Party. Now, don't get me wrong. Hakeem Jeffries has a major mountain that he still needs to climb. The way money is being spent in these primaries, the millions of dollars that are coming in from the American Israeli Political Action Committee into districts from the Voting Rights Act of 1965, determining black leadership in this country in these congressional districts on a foreign policy issue has consequences. But it is not a foregone conclusion that this fight ends in the November election. Dr. Yuri?
Well, it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because any bill that has an expenditure of public dollars attached to it originates in the House. They got to figure that out, right? All of the money conversations start with the 435. So to have that kind of institutional influence over the flow of public dollars is a big deal. That means that we have to add to the what conversation for whomever we're voting for. Listen, y'all, when you win your election and you get to go to DC, one of the first things you have to do is organize the Congress, how that particular congressional session is going to run. And it starts with who's going to lead. And once you decide who's going to lead, who's going to be the leader, gets to decide committee assignments, gets to decide a number, who's going to hold gavels, who's going to be in charge of the major subject matter and policy areas that affect what our what is. We've got to be that intentional and that meticulous. We got to get out of this emotional politicking. This isn't about how I feel. I feel the way I feel, and it's not going to change anytime soon. But we've got to be so focused that we don't get hustled in this thing, make a short-term decision trying to get long-term benefit. That's called insanity.
I absolutely agree. And one of the great challenges that we're going to have, which we've heard from Dr. Yuri, we've heard it from Barbara Arnwine as well, we have to register, vote, and be prepared to engage, not just in the short run, casting a ballot or casting a vote, but in the long run. That is staying engaged, staying vigilant, staying committed, staying focused, just like right here at KBLA Talk 1580, Tavis Smiley and the station has been staying engaged with the Crenshaw corridor. And as a result of staying engaged, things are changing. Things are happening. They are assuming that we are asleep. And when we wake up and take the mantle of our struggle forward, things happen for the best of us. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, our regular contributor, Dr. Todd Yuri Esquire. Politics of Our Faith. More right here on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is criticizing the rise of democratic socialism following Wisconsin's primary, calling the movement essentially communist.
And I think it's very, very dangerous.
DeSantis also argued police, not social workers, should respond to crimes like home break-ins. He renewed his criticism of Dr. Anthony Fauci over the COVID response while calling Florida a refuge of sanity. A new poll shows Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore with a wide lead in his re-election bid. The Maryland Now survey has Moore ahead of Republican Dan Cox by 27 points with 58% support. It also shows 56% of voters approve of Moore's job performance. And Russell Westbrook is retiring after 18 NBA seasons. The 2017 league MVP announced the decision Wednesday in a social media video narrated by Michael B. Jordan. Westbrook spent most of his career with Oklahoma City before playing for 6 other teams. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are about to change ownership again. NBA sources are reporting that Lakers owner Mark Walter, who bought the franchise last year for $10 billion, is selling it to a couple of very rich businessmen, Josh Kushner and Bob Iger. Key players in the NBA's potential expansion into Las Vegas have agreed to pay Walter $12 billion for the Lakers. Walter is the majority owner of the Dodgers, but it appears he's ending his relationship with the Lakers after just 1 year. More details to come on this surprising development. The NFL is considering a suspension for Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua at the start of the regular season. The league is reviewing whether Nacua has violated the league's code of conduct policy. Nacua, who led the NFL in receptions last season, is facing a civil lawsuit from a woman accusing him of assault and anti-Semitic comments. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Whoa, whoa.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Class is in session every weekend, live on the air. If you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show, every Saturday, 12 noon, and replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about.
This summer, the Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich and Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite are back at Chick-fil-A.
Girl, it's back. We've been waiting. I love that honey pepper pimento sandwich.
And that pineapple dragon fruit and Sprite is everything. It's got that razzle dazzle that makes you stop and say, okay, wait a minute.
I love the creaminess of the pimento cheese. It's savory, it's bold, it's flavorful.
Our faves are back. High five, girl.
Which fan favorite will you choose? Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Ready for a weekend reset? Walk it out with me, Gina A. Towns, the artist formerly known as Gina Darby, on Reflectivity Beyond Black and White, as we seek peace, understanding, and healing beyond surface level perspectives, where reflectivity becomes our inner power and resilience to transform our lives and our communities no matter what. Meet me and my crazy cool guests. Join the Reflectivity family movement as we make sense of it all. Every bit, every morsel. We're going to nourish the mind, body, and soul unapologetically right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Every Saturday, 2 and 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 and 10 in the Midwest, and 5 and 11 on the East Coast. It's time for Reflectivity Beyond Black and White. It's not only hot, it's sizzling, and we're cooking.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580s. It's Wealthy Wednesdays, and we're in the politics of our faith with Reverend S. Todd Yeary, principal of the Yeary Firm. Dr. Yeary is a civil rights attorney and public policy advocate. He holds a deep belief that honest dialogue creates opportunities to form strategic partnerships that strengthen families and communities. Dr. Yeary, welcome forward to the politics of our faith.
Always good to be with you. You gotta be on your toes when I come to talk to you on Wednesday.
There's no doubt about it. I'm on my toes when I'm talking to you. Dr. Yeary, what does yesterday's election say about the mood of the country?
Well, the mood of the country is there's a lot of, I think, pain, frustration, disillusionment, even anger. And that a lot of it is tied to those areas that are often commonly felt amongst the masses. On one hand, you have an administration that points to what the stock market's doing and think that the administration thinks that somehow or other that's going to comfort people who have to work jobs for which there is no 401k benefit. And so the stock market doing well doesn't address the immediate need of food, clothing, shelter. The other piece is the tone deafness that has seemingly become permanent, that the cries of the people who are most vulnerable are not just being ignored. They are really intentionally being squelched. And we see it in a number of ways, not just in terms of how it plays out with, say, the policy issues around immigration and the use of ICE and how ICE is sending these untrained militia people with federal enforcement of power into our communities. But even more granular than that, when the word affordability, when the president says, I never heard of such a word, I take that at face value. That's called confession. He is confessing that he is clueless, which means he cannot relate to what many people are suffering across the country, whether they be blue or red. Poverty is a condition. It's not a color. It's not a party affiliation. We've got to have that kind of an ongoing conversation. And this is the time where the people who are experiencing the pain and dealing with the frustration have to make sure that they are not ignored. We've got to keep our voices lifted and loud.
I'm deeply moved by that because there was a time in my lifetime when the stock market itself was connected to people to some degree at the bottom, people who were struggling in our caste system and in our class system. You could actually measure, in some measure, how the stock market was doing against how people were actually feeling. But you're suggesting now that there is a disconnect between the growth of the stock market and the reality of how every average, ordinary American truly feels about their economic well-being.
Yeah, I mean, let's just use the word growth, right? This president likes to talk about the stock market being in record territory. Guess what's not in record territory? wages, folks who have to work at an hourly rate, still struggling to get to a living wage. Corporations' bottom lines growing exponentially. The wealth gap grew wider during COVID than it was before COVID even hit. And so when we start looking at those kinds of data points, we recognize that this disconnect is not new. It's been there actually for several presidencies now. And as we continue to experience the fallout, gas prices just way out of range, subject to the whims of an administration that can't quite figure out why did we pick a fight with somebody that we didn't need to fight with anyway, even though we don't like them. We decided we wanted to be the bully on the playground, and now we found out that typically the bully on the playground doesn't find many allies, and when he gets strung out into a fight that he shouldn't be in at all, he doesn't lose because he succumbs to the strength necessarily of the one he's bullying, but he succumbs to the exhaustion because he miscalculated how much effort would be required to win this battle. This government is collapsing under exhaustion, but by the time it finally falls out and you end up having to perform emergency medical assistance techniques on this administration, the harm to the rest of us will be semi-permanent, if not permanent altogether. Because he's not coming for his friends. He's not coming for those who made a whole lot of money behind crypto and all that other kind of stuff. You know, their balance sheets are looking pretty good. But for the rest of us who are still looking at astronomical credit card interest rates, trying to take care of essential bills because I don't have enough payday resilience to be able to outlast the month. Those are the realities. And this is not just for the extremely poor. This is the working poor. And there are working poor people who make upwards of 6 figures in the United States. That's a whole problem. And the wealth inequality, the wage inequality is a conversation that folks on either side of the aisle just don't seem to want to have today.
Dr. Year, we have about 3 minutes before we come forward. And you piqued so much interest in my mind and in my thinking in this moment. And I want to pivot just for a moment to money and politics. Not only are the campaigns becoming expensive for the money that candidates have to raise, there's this unanticipated money that comes in from the outside that helps move the scale of voting and messaging in the political campaigns. But there's something we often don't talk about. You're a criminal defense lawyer. These same members of Congress will now go to Congress and state legislatures. And who gets punished for crimes? Those laws will be reflected in who paid the piper. That is, we'll see more of us being punished, criminalized for errors that we make in our lives or even errors of judgment. But those who have paid the piper, the crypto, the people at the top of the scale, the billionaires, the people who one might consider to be a different kind of untouchable, that the laws themselves do not apply to them. That the very laws that were designed to rein them in have now freed them to engage in a kind of laissez-faire capitalism and economic approach to human reality. Dr. Yeary?
Yeah, let me give you 3 quick numbers. Maybe I can pull this thread through this fabric. 1600, 1776, and 1. 1,600 violators of law on January 6 in one fell swoop get pardoned. Then you get 1776, as in $1.776 billion of a government set aside around private interests with public fare, even though it was a test to see if we can pay people to become loyal to us because we could make all 1,600 of them millionaires and still have money left over. But for there being a pushback in the optics of trying to confirm one attorney general, supposedly that fund is defunct. But that's not the one I'm talking about. The one is the one who negotiated the deal in the first place. He's still in office. He's still negotiating. and the masses on the other side of 1600, 1776 and 1, that's us. We still have to stay engaged, because if we take our eye off of what's happening, we're going to get hustled with our permission. And at that point, we become as much to blame for our predicament as the oppressor.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're in the politics of our faith with Reverend Dr. Todd Yeary. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
Women's Leadership Project is a Black feminist mentoring, civic engagement, and advocacy program. We have rallied, marched, and disrupted in front of the unaccountable Marquise Harris Dawson's office for several years now. We have gone down to City Council and City Hall and spoken truth to power to try and get resources and protection and funding for Black girls and Black women in the city, who are only 4.3% of the population in this community, yet we are disproportionately victimized by sex trafficking, sex violence, domestic violence, and intimate partner violence. We have met numerous times with the unaccountable MIA trifling Marquise and his deputies, and he has turned tail and run. We have tried to meet and give a proposal to Destination Crenshaw to step up and hold space and provide protections for our youth in the Crenshaw district area, because there are no safe youth spaces in City Council District 8 in the Crenshaw corridor.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Don't let heartburn ruin your day. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. When that burning feeling comes on strong, stop, drop, and fizz your way to quick relief with Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief. Nothing works faster to help calm heartburn, so you can get back to the moments that matter most. Alka-Seltzer begins neutralizing acid in seconds. Try Alka-Seltzer for fast heartburn relief, because life doesn't stop, and neither should you.
Quick, Alka-Seltzer.
Use as directed.
I love days like these at the pool, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. I'm ready to make a splash with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza. Skyrizi is a prescription-only injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. At 4 months, most people saw 90% clearer skin when measured from head to toe, and many were even 100% plaque-free. People also saw significant improvement in psoriasis symptoms of pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Now there's nothing on my skin thanks to Skyrizi, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through this city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The BLM Center for Black Power is a hub for Black activism in the city of Los Angeles, a standalone nonprofit affiliated with Black Lives Matter LA. The venue is home to live events, meetings, and organizing drives for Black-led community-based organizations. It is also the base of operations for Black Lives Matter LA. Built on what used to be a nuisance property owned by an arms dealer, the BLM Center for Black Power is in the heart of Leimert Park and has opened its doors to everything from youth organizers to toy drives to film screenings and community town hall meetings. To make a donation or make a request, please visit blmla.org. That's blmla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special regular contributor, The Politics of Our Faith, with Dr. Todd Yeary. Dr. Yeary is the principal of the Yeary Firm, a Maryland-based litigation and government relations firm, and also serves as the senior pastor of the Douglas Memorial Community Church of Baltimore and affiliates. Dr. Yeary, are your services broadcast on social media every Sunday?
Now you want to get all out in the public square about the public conversations. Social media is an interesting tool. So there are services that are on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. Now, those are pre-recorded services. Because the reality of the world changes in real time, what you might get if you're sitting in the pew may sound a bit different than what you get in terms of the broadcast service. And that's out of necessity, because I have to be ready to speak to the urgency of the moment, even when that moment changes.
I just want to make sure we're in a position to be able to support you. How can we support your work and your ministry, Pastor?
First of all, pray, because out in these streets, these dragons are real, right? But if you want to support the work that I try to do, not just in terms of Sunday morning, but Monday through Saturday, is you can help me by helping yourself. If you're not registered, register. If you are registered, verify your registration. I don't care where you live. I don't care how confident you are that the records have not changed. And then I want you to participate in the process of educating yourself so that you can be an empowered participant in our process. That makes this work easier for me, and here's why. Because I can then go to the elected officials when I am advocating for policy, and I can say, look, based on the performance, same thing they do when they decide who the legislation they're going to support. Look at all of these folks who are fully engaged in watching what's going on, and they're not going to take no for an answer. So if you want to support me, start there. I'll be able to see the effect and the impact. And then if you want to check me out, you can find me, Civil Rights Rev, on all of the social media platforms. And if you're in Baltimore, swing by the corner of Lafayette and Madison, and you may see something that's a little bit different than what you see on social media, but I'll let you be the deciders of that.
Dr. Year, I appreciate that very much. I think you might be the first humble pastor on our program who's not giving you a cash app, shared with us how to financially support your efforts. But we are so grateful for your leadership and for your stewardship and for the advice and counsel that you give us. Let me ask a final question before your word of hope. We talked about 6 campaigns across the country that took place yesterday, and we are settled or unsettled in some areas with respect to the nation's mood. But if I'm on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 10, the 118, or the 110 in California, I got my own 2 senators, I got my own governor, I got my own mayor. Why should I care about 12 senators in 6 other states, as well as the cadre of congressmen that they send to the election? Why should I care about what happened on Tuesday if I'm on the 5 or the 101?
Here's why. Because if you don't pay attention and the outcomes of those races basically render your 2 senators, your elected congressperson, to be literally impotent to advance your interest, it's because you didn't recognize that this is a math problem. The only reason you have 2 is because that's the way the rules are set. But it doesn't mean that you can only support 2. You can just only vote for those who fall within the purview of where your vote reaches. Your voice is bigger than the territory and the terrain in which you live. They want you to believe that that's the constraint under which you operate. But no. You have relationships, friendships, family members, near and far, who also have their own voices. And when all of the members of the choir show up for rehearsal, then they know we about to have church up in here and the game's about to change.
Dr. Yeary, a word of hope, our final minute and a half.
Don't miss Bible study. Here's the Bible study lesson for the evening. Listen, across the nation, people have gone to the polls. Some are rejoicing the outcome, some are disappointed. Recent primaries clarify who the nominees are. That's how the process works. But we got to remember our mandate is bigger than sound bites and news articles. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. And so we're called to care about what happens, to your point, Jesse, about the public square, because real people are affected by these public decisions. Poor people, workers, immigrants, the elderly, children. And so our faith does not require silence in the face of injustice. Our faith requires that we speak up, speak out, speak loudly, and act without hatred and without contempt and without surrendering our souls to fear. So let's step up and remember the God who created us is not shaken. Our civic participation matters, and hope is an act of faith. And that's why we participate in this process. Go do what you do and do it well.
Thank you, Dr. Yeary.
Always good to be with you, my brother.
You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, the politics of our faith, every Wednesday with Reverend Dr. S. Todd Yeary, Esquire, 1 foot in the pulpit and 1 foot in the courtroom. A great man, a great leader with a bunch of great advice. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.